Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How you doing tonight?
Good. Pretty horrible hockey game for the Oilers. Maybe their worst game of the year, which is saying a lot because they had some stinkers early on. But that was a weird game because they actually played okay initially. At least they scored. And then just so many terrible defensive plays, which we'll get into. Bruce, this is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. Did you have a good thing?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, my good thing is it's actually a pretty big tent in this game. Oilers special teams had a strong game. Penalty kill went 5 for 5. The power play went 2 for 3. At one point, sort of midway in the second period, it was 3-1 Edmonton, and that lead was built on those two power play goals and held by those at that point 4 penalty kills that were fairly uneventful. And then, unfortunately for the Oilers, the Zebras put their whistles away, and they had to play the rest of the game at 5-on-5, where they absolutely sucked in this game. Don't think there's any other way to really put it. But special teams, golden. Leon Draisaitl pounded home two goals from the great setups from Connor McDavid. All's well with the world, right? The special teams, like they were clearing the zone frequently. Like that was much more, I thought, a team effort. Pickard had a couple good saves in there, but mostly that was the unit minding its P's and Q's, and they had a lot of work to do in this game with 10 minutes and penalties to kill off, and so that wasn't the part of the game that was the problem. Let's put it that way. That was the best of the Oilers on this day by far was those two special teams, power play and penalty kill. And I will deliberately and tacitly omit the special team that is the 6'v5" goalie pull, which was the most wretched exhibition of that unit that I've seen in a very long time. They pulled the goalie with the puck in their end with 2 minutes left, and they just kept coughing it up.
Well, it was just indicative of the play they had from the second and third period on.
Mm-hmm.
they just had nothing for some reason. It's hard to
explain. Anaheim played yesterday afternoon too, right?
The grade A shots, the preliminary 18-10 for Anaheim.
Yeah.
The 5 alarm shots 9-4.
Yeah.
So they were about twice as good as the Oilers in this game in terms of flow of play and dangerous shots. And the score flattered the Oilers a little bit.
Shots were 32-23 Anaheim. And this, in a game where the Oilers average outshoot their opponent by 6, Anaheim average got outshot by 4. But it was all Ducks. They were way hungrier, way smarter. And, they just had honestly, it looked like they would be the team that would be high in the standings, and the Oilers would be the team at the bottom of it. The way that they two teams performed in this game.
Yeah, Leon sure made a nice couple shots. He's starting to hit that shot. Heading into the game, he only had 3 one-timer goals this year. Now he's got 5. And previous years, Bruce, he's averaged about 20 a year since 29-20. 1, 2, 3, 5 years in a row. It's at 21, 18, 21, 17, and 22 in the regular season. So it's been the NHL's most fearsome weapon, I would suggest. Maybe Ovechkin's one-timer might come close. But
from 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not in recent years. So Leon hits that, and it's nice to see him start hitting that shot because he was struggling with it earlier this year. He was getting them, not as many as in the past either, but not excuse me, not putting them in. So that's a good sign. I don't know if it was just a timing thing, what was going on, or the other teams were really focused on taking it away. Maybe a bit of both, but he's getting it now, and that's good for the Oilers. That's sure a big weapon on the Oilers. Bruce, my good thing, I guess I'll go with the only other goal the Oilers scored. It was a very nice play by Evan Bouchard, both ways. Anaheim was rushing the puck, and he just got his stick out, made a nice poke check at the blue line. The puck goes to, I think it goes to Brown, then to Arvidsson, back to Brown. They're rushing in over the blue line, and they drop it to Bouchard, who moves in and gets an absolutely fantastic shot through a screen on net from the top of the circles, beats the goalie. He is a tremendous shooter. Great to see him make a defensive play that leads to a goal, and good to see him finishing that shot. His partnership with Ekholm tonight, I don't think it wasn't the main culprit. They weren't great. None of the Oilers were that good defensively, but I thought they were probably the best defenders on the Oilers, and that was certainly the best play, the best sequence by an Oilers defenseman all night long, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the key was the stop at the blue line. Like the zone, they never even gained the zone because Bush got a stick in there, and not just chipped it out, but chipped it to a good spot. And it so happened that Arvidsson was coming out of the box at the time, so they wound up with an odd man, and Bouchard jumped up into the play, and Brown wasn't hit him with the good pass. And no, it was, Arvidsson had the first assist, and then Brown had the second. Brown chipped it to Arvidsson, and he sent it across to Bush coming late, and he slammed in that wrist shot top corner. First goal he scored since, remember, he went to end against the Senators.
Oh yeah,
a long time ago though. It's like yeah, it's been, and Bush he's got offense in that stick, and most of it's assists, but he is a goal scorer, and he should be scoring more than one goal a month. Let's put it that way. He should be comfortably in the double digits every year, and I suspect he will be again. Hopefully this will be the start of some more pinpoint shooting on his part.
What does he have now? Let me just check here. How many goals are we looking at for?
I think that was 7. He's been stuck on 7. He's been stuck on 6 for a long time.
27 points in 36 games. Right. Not where he was at last year, but
just to expand on the hockey stat cards, which is one of the interesting outputs that comes from each game. They list the game score for each of the 18 players. And this is Dom Lucian's formula, and they list 1-2 on the Oilers in this game: Evan Bouchard, Matthias Ekholm. The next 12 guys are all forwards, and then the bottom 4 guys on the team: Emerson, Kulak, Stetcher, and Nurse.
Not a surprise.
Yeah, so it was that those 2 pairings that got caved, and I might as well jump to my bad thing, which is the play of Darnell Nurse, who he's been playing well. He's been playing well for a long time, but he's one guy who seemed to be negatively impacted by the break, because I thought he was fairly mediocre in yesterday's game and flat out brutal in this game, with direct culpability on the last 3 Anaheim goals that mattered: the 3-2, the 3-3, and the 4-3 goals. And among other things, I don't know how many, maybe you can count how many grade A's he was involved in, and a few the other way, but it was very one-sided. I'll just stick to the goals. And the first, like the 3-2 goal, like the guy is shooting the puck from the point, and he fires a wrist shot into traffic, and Nurse, how we're going to talk more about this later in your number about his goals that he deflects into his own net. Well, this one, he deliberately deflected it. It wasn't like it hit him and bounced in the net. The puck was going by. He reached out like he was a left winger on the other team trying to tip the puck past the goalie. And guess what? He tipped the puck past the goalie. Darnell, that doesn't help. Your goalie doesn't want the pucks to be deflected. Either box the guy out or let him see it, or don't change the direction of it unless you know you're going to be able to control it, right? If you're knocking it down with your glove, or if it's on the ice and you're just stopping it with your stick. But when you're waving at midair pucks, those pucks can go anywhere. And guess where this one went? Nice. So that made it 3-2. Then just before the end of the second period, it was a whole bad shift by a bunch of guys, and they finally got over the blue line, and Kapanen coughed the puck up before they even got to center, and it came out in just inside Edmonton's blue line. And again, Nurse had it, and he seemed to control it, and he was on his backhand side, and he either could go backhand up the boards, or his other option was to go deep in his own zone, pass it off to somebody under control. And he did neither of those things. Anaheim wound up coming out of that with the puck, and bingo, bango, bongo, that was in the net, 3-3. And then on the game winner, with under 3 minutes to go in a tie game in regulation, he gets involved. He does mostly things right in this play. He takes his guy to the corner. He pins him against the boards. The puck goes behind the boards. But his man, former teammate Ryan Strome, just to add insult to injury, after Warren Fogle killed the Oilers yesterday, Ryan Strome did it today. And he whacked at Nurse, knocked the stick out of his hands, as McDavid lost the battle to Troy Terry along the end wall. And Nurse, just for a split second, he thought, my stick's right there. I'm going to go grab it, and then I'm going to go box this guy out. Well, by the time he got back to, then I'm going to box this guy out, the puck had already crossed the goal line, because Strome had used that heartbeat to get on the inside of him and take Terry's pass behind the net, step out in front, and stuff it into the pads of Calvin Pickard, which would have been good if Pickard's pads had been on the right side of the icing line. Well, I'm going to let you talk about that. But that, all stick or no stick, you got to box out your opponent. It's a one-on-one. The guy knocks the stick out of your hand, you're just going to forget about him because you want your stick? Which would you rather have, David? Would you rather have a D-man with no stick trying to make a defensive play, or nobody at all trying to make a play because the D-man has gone to chase his stick? I mean, that was just poor decision-making in the moment, and it cost the team badly. It really cost the team. These three mistakes combined were devastating to the cause.
I'd rather not have a defenseman who makes 3 brain fart mental errors when his team's holding a lead and cause goals against, because those were all, Bruce, mental errors. The first one, again, he shouldn't be putting his stick there. The second one, he has an easy play to make with the puck. He can skate with that puck, put it over to his D-man partner on the third Anaheim goal. He could put that over to his partner. Instead, he tried like a lazy pass off his backhand up the boards. And then the fourth one, as you just described, like, it's a mental error to go for your stick instead of take the man. You don't do that. And so again, like, he had 2 great months, but it's actually if you look at his numbers closely, his mistakes on grade A shots, they've been trending up for about actually the last 4 or 5 games, where he started to level off, and then he started to get back into bad habits. And tonight it just exploded on the scene. All the bad habits that he's exhibited came to the fore tonight. And he had, he could get a 1 out of 10 in that game. There might have been some good stuff.
I'm not giving him a 1. He made a great stretch pass to set McDavid in alone.
That is true.
He made a really nice play, a defensive play, to chip the puck to Henrique and then get on his horse and get on Henrique's lob pass for a basically breakaway slap shot, shorthanded. It was like, that was an unreal play. It easily could have overpowered the goalie and gone in. It didn't. But dropping your stick. I mean, we saw a defenseman make the exact same mistake yesterday. Mikey Anderson. It was in the third period. It was a tie game as well. And he dropped his stick and he chased the stick in the corner and he left Zach Hyman alone in front of the net. And that was when when Kemper made the big glove save. You remember in the power play
Yeah.
in the third period?
David put it over, yeah.
Yeah. And so at least in the case of Mikey Anderson, his goalie had his back. In Darnell's case, he didn't. But it's quite a fundamental mistake. Losing, you want your stick, but you sure don't want to give up position like that to get it. I mean, if your team's got the puck, maybe you got a second to go and get it.
Nurse tonight is like Henrik last night. Henrik could have got a lower grade. I gave him a 3. But he had done a couple good things, which is why he got a 3 as opposed to a 2 or 1.
I'm between a 2 and a 3, and that's complimenting for the good things. And he's got minus for those 3 goals of a full point. And I'm tempted for such -2 on the tip shot, because it was just, why are you tipping it? And then another -1 for execution, tipping it in. But
he was not sharp. Maybe he's got food poisoning or something.
Well, we're singling out one. I'm singling out a guy, and you're singling out a guy. But there was a lot of mental mistakes by a lot of players in this game, and a lot of puck battles where the Edmonton Oilers were a lot less interested, it seemed like, in coming away with the puck than their opponents were. And they just I think they thought, we got this game. It's 3-1. We're scoring when we need to. Pickard's making some saves back there. And they just lost the plot. And they, third period was a little better at 3-3, but they never really got control. Yeah.
My bad thing is Calvin Pickard. I'd give him a 3 or a 2 in this game as well. I don't know what. You'd have to look. I guess he did get a lot of grade A shots. So there is that.
He made some saves.
There is that.
I'm scratching my noggin on Pickard because I hated 3 of the goals. But
well, that's a lot of goals to hate, Bruce. That's a lot of. The first one, Cutter Gauthier comes down the wing, and basically, from just, I would say from just on the very edge of home plate, not in home plate, and there was no screen on this play. It's just a hard outside shot, and Pickard just misses it, and you need that save. Kapanen and Emberson had made errors to allow the rush and the shot, but the goalie's got to make that save, and NHL goalies make that save 90% of the time, if not higher than that, Bruce. These are dangerous looking shots often, but it's only the rare player, Connor McDavid or Nathan MacKinnon, maybe Ovechkin, Draisaitl, who score from that spot at a higher rate than 15%, I'll suggest. Most players just can't. They don't have this. They're not moving with enough speed, and they don't get their shot off hard enough. Now, every once in a while, they'll catch fire. Any player will get that. Maybe that's it, but Pickard's got to have that shot, that first shot, and it gets Anaheim right back in the game. It's 2-1 now.
Right along the ice, right through him. Where was the stick? This would be my question.
Yeah,
like that should be a more or less routine stick save.
He's got to have that. The next one, the 3-2 goal, he gets the puck behind the net, and he's a smart hockey player, Calvin Pickard. He's good with the puck, and he just throws it away, throws it right up the boards. I don't remember him being under tremendous pressure on that play. He didn't have to make that play. He didn't have to. He just coughed it right up to the blue line, and then there's a shot on net from outside, and bad things happen. The Californian goes in. It gets deflected in by the self-inflicted Californian. Nurse deflects it in. That was a terrible play by Pickard. Just a terrible turnover, and it cost his team a goal.
He went out to get the puck, David, and I think if he just left it, Nurse would have got it. But even when he did get it, he had Nurse about 5 or 10 feet away from him at the bottom of the circle. Nobody around him. All he had to do was bunt it over to him. Like, why are you shooting it past your own guy when you can't get in enough muscle on it to get it over the blue line? Pass it to a teammate, man. That was just no need for it. I was I was not happy with that goal. I was mad at Pickard first, and the more I watched the replay, the madder I got at Nurse for the deflection. But the giveaway was, it was just a freebie. Here, have the puck, you guys. We don't want it.
I thought you were getting, I couldn't tell because the only way we're communicating, of course, is on our grade A scoring chance chart. but I thought you were getting upset as the game went along because like you stopped commenting altogether on the grade A shots. I could just see you sitting there fuming, Bruce, as things developed. And I don't know if that was the case or not, but that's how I
Well,
imagined
I
it.
catch up during the intermissions, and of course there is no third intermission. Well, today ultimately we did get her done with a slightly delayed start to the cast here. But the second period, like I only got halfway through the period during the second intermission because there was like 12 grade A shots to 6 in the period. And that's a lot of reviews when you're rewinding 15 seconds at a time, 3, 4, 5 times to look at a play again and again. And so, I mean, 12 grade A shots against in one period. So I get where you're unhappy with the goalie, but you know,
then
he needed help. But yeah, let's
the
get
third
to
one, the fourth goal, the winning goal. He misreads. He kind of misreads the play. McDavid's battling behind the net, and it looks like the puck might come out the other side, but it doesn't. Reverses and goes back Strome's side, and he doesn't get like the wraparound play. Now that was a little bit more difficult than a wraparound play because Nurse totally blew it, dropping his stick, and Strome could come right out and take a shot. So, but it was essentially a wraparound. Wraparound plays in the NHL, Bruce, again, they're 10, 15% shots on average at best. They're not grade A shots. The NHL, they look good and they're scary, but the goalies know how to stop them, and they stop them consistently. And Pickard just blew it. He didn't get his pad over in time, and he didn't get his skate against the post, and he got beat. Not a good play. There was another play where like he had made a save at the side of the net, and he looked like, and he got praise from the broadcasters. And I just thought that was such a lucky stop that he had made because he was flying by and it managed to hit his shoulder. He just seemed off balance, out of kilter, not centered, not set all night long. He didn't look safe, and he wasn't on.
He was a high event goalie, and that's really not what you want. A chaos goalie, if you will. We used to talk on the blogosphere about chaos defensemen. You know, they create good chaos and also not so good chaos. Well, goalies, it's limited in how much good chaos they can cause. And he was, that one play, I thought that shot was actually missing the net on the short side. And Pickard was so far out of position that the guy literally had the whole net to shoot at, and he missed it to the side where Pickard was. It hit Pickard and bounced across the face of the net and missed the other post.
Yeah.
And he was just scrambling. And on that winner, you know, he had his pad not at the post. It was on the goal line, but as he scrambled across, he actually pulled his pad back inside the net to help, I guess, in his movement. And the shot did hit his pad, but it was clearly over the goal line because he didn't have the goal line covered. You know, you're not supposed to be protecting the back of the net, right? You're supposed to kind of protect the part where they start counting one up on the big board and the horn goes off. I mean, this was a delayed reaction, but right live, I said, that's in the net, I'm pretty sure. Yep.
And you said something that was true. Like almost anyone on the team could have been the bad thing tonight. At times. I mean, I think Ekholm and Bouchard were actually fairly decent, although Bouchard, you know, they had some mistakes. But this was a total team wank. Like they collapsed, and that's an embarrassing performance. And their mums are there, and that's not that is not good.
No, not good enough. And then they even, you know, after they got behind 4-3, they pulled the goalie, and the cluster of bad plays that ensued from 2:07, I think they pulled them until 0:51 when they scored, I counted turnovers by 5 Oilers. By Ekholm turning into the wrong corner where a Duck was when he had McDavid completely free and clear on the other side. Bouchard coughing it up in the defensive slot. Nugent Hopkins failing to make a play at the offensive blue line and turning it over. McDavid turning it over in Edmonton zone. And then finally Draisaitl turning it over in the neutral zone, off of which Anaheim finally, made a shot into the empty net. Well, 3 for $1, one was going to go in eventually. But that whole sequence just showed complete disorganization and, where's your desperation? Like, you've just given up an embarrassing fall behind goal with 2.5 minutes. Come back hard. No, sir, that was a mess.
I think
Absolute mess.
Before Christmas, Bruce, they won the last couple games, but I think they won it on talent. Their best players played really well in crunch time, and they could have lost those games. And I think that the bad habits kind of started then.
Yeah.
And there's carryover from those games, and what we're seeing is the direct, just exactly what you'd expect. And this is the way the run of the NHL seasons. Teams go up and down, and they got to get desperate and then start focusing on solid defensive play again, fanatical defensive play, defensive structure. Everybody do your job on defense. I thought Leon was actually really weak on defense tonight, man. He was standing around and getting beat left, right, and center. But again, they were all like that. It wasn't just him. There was lots of guys doing that, standing around. There's one play where he and Bouchard just standing in front of the net as the Anaheim Ducks were going to fetch the puck behind the net and whip it out front for a good chance. I just thought, what are you?
Checked the puck off Leon's stick right on goal there for one chance.
What's your number, Bruce?
Yeah, well, I think I'll change my mind last minute. I'll go with the number 3.
Okay.
3 goals for, and the Oilers scored 3 goals now in 5 consecutive games. For the break, they beat Boston 3-2 in overtime. They beat San Jose 3-2 in overtime. They beat Ottawa 3-1. 3 is enough to win when you look after your P's and Q's. When you don't, you lose. 4-3 in LA, 5-3 in Anaheim. And it's because their defensive game was not up to snuff. They got enough goals to win those games as well, but they did not play good enough defense to muster more than 1 point out of the 2 games. And I thought 1 point was pretty fair yesterday, and I tell you 100%, 0 points is 100% fair for their effort today. They were the worst team on the ice. And I'll slide my bonus number, expected goals, natural stat trick, all situations. 4.33 for Anaheim, 1.98 for Edmonton. Like more than double against one of the worst teams in the league. Sorry, boys, that ain't good enough.
Bruce, my number has to do with the Nurse made the big deflected in goal today. So again, we've talked about this in the past. So we've been tracking this. Actually, this is our 6th season tracking. Not just grade A shots and who's involved, but actually kind of what do they do?
Coding,
what mistake did they make? We figured out how to do our own little version of coding and have a searchable document and all that good stuff. So I was able to do that just really quickly. So all the other defensemen combined in these 6.4 seasons, is it 5.4 seasons, I guess? All the other defensemen combined have played about 32,000 even strength minutes, and Nurse has played about 8,000. So 32,000 to 8,000, it's about 4-1.
Yep.
In terms of deflected in, grade A shots deflected on net by the defenseman. The other guys combined, not just goals, just grade A shots. The other guys combined have 73. Nurse on his own in 1/4 of their time has 34, 73 to 34. And it's shorthanded. The other guys combined have played about 2,800 minutes, and he's played about 1,000. And the number is 20 to 17.
Oh.
20 to 17. So they've played 3 times. It's like about 3 times the ice time, and it's 20 to 17. It's almost even. So this is the thing. More like in terms of a rate, he's more than double. It's more than double the average of the other defensemen.
60.
And it's hard.
How do you fix that?
How do you fix that, Bruce? It seems like it's what do you call it? A brain cramp?
Well, today's today's was yesterday. Like he had one goal went in off his stick in each game on this little road trip.
Okay.
Yesterday's was a little bit bad luck. The guy scrambled
Oh,
around the
that's
net.
right.
The puck
Yesterday
was
it happened.
bouncing around. It went off right off the very toe of his stick and changed direction and beat Skinner. Well, this one today, like it was a deliberate attempt on his part to, I don't know, play goal. He was trying to bat the puck down. I can block that shot by reaching out my stick and oops, tipping it into the top corner. Maybe not. How long does it take to sort of say, let the goalie be the goalie and let me be the D-man?
That's funny because
I'll stop
before,
there.
so before yesterday, he hadn't had it. Like he's actually cut down this year. Those
Yeah.
were the first two at even strength today and yesterday, or was yesterday's shorthanded? I can't recall.
Well, Fogel scored, so I can't imagine it was anything but 5-on-5. Not
Indeed,
100% sure it
indeed.
was.
So it seems to be, I don't know. It's one of life's mysteries, but it's not. There's this, I would call that a statistical significance. I'm not a statistician, but over that amount of time, that many minutes, that many plays, we don't have, and we're not trying, like, it's nothing we were aware of. And we started thinking about it last year during the playoffs, as I recall. It started to become a real issue. So it's not like we're looking to grade anyone ADI, like to have a deflection. That's our code ADI. Against, deflected in to the net. So it's not like we're picking on him. We've just noticed it. And this, so what the heck is he doing? Because again, defensive defensemen like Chris Russell hardly ever did it. And he was a shot blocker. So you can't say, well, it's guys who block a lot of shots, because Nurse does try to block a lot of shots. Russell hardly ever did it.
That one would tick off him, and stay on target. And the fact that it ticked off him would made it a harder stop. And, some of the ones on Nurse are like that as well. But there's something that's strange in terms of the distribution. I mean, when we originally started coding, we didn't have a code for deflected in, but it was happening enough that we sort of added one, as I recall. Whereas, well, what do we call the one where it hits the defenseman and then goes on net? Maybe we should have a code specifically for that.
Yeah. And it just, we were thinking it's kind of random, isn't it, that happens? Like, it's not really, in some ways, it's not even the guy's fault. It was our initial thought, but it does happen, and it is a significant play, and it's part of so we thought we should code it, and we did. And then we start to, here we are all these years later, and there's this guy who's doing it twice as much as any other defenseman. There was one year where the only guy who's ever had more in a year than Nurse is Duncan Keith.
Oh, yeah?
He had a lot of them that one year, but that was one season. So that could be a small sample size, even one season, because it's such a rare event. Like Nurse will have, at most 10, like he'll have 10 to 15 in a season, like tops, combined shorthanded, even strength. But nonetheless, this continues to happen. So he somehow had been cutting down on it this season until the last two games, and now boom, boom. So maybe maybe he's on top of it, and this is just an aberration for the season, Bruce. We can hope.
Yeah. Well, Paul Coffey's got some work to do, and Darnell Nurse, among many other Oilers, have got some video to watch and some heavy thinking to do, and maybe a little bit of practicing, because their defensive fundamentals were in the toilet.
Well, whatever it was, 16, 17, 18 grade A shots from the Anaheim Ducks. Come on. That is just not acceptable. Yeah. All right. When's the next game, Bruce?
Next game is Monday night, New Year's Eve, at home against Utah. It's the first time ever that the Utahns will be visiting our fair city wearing their garb. They're officially a brand new franchise in the National Hockey League with no connection to the Arizona Coyotes, even though they look an awful lot like the Arizona Coyotes when you examine their personnel. So the Utah Hockey Club will be the visitors. And
is this an Amazon
New Year's
game?
Eve? No.
Thank goodness.
No, this is New Year's Eve, and it's actually Tuesday. There's only one more. There's only one more Amazon game, and it's in April, so we can relax on that front for quite a while.
Good.
I think the last game of the season, Amazon game of the season, is Oilers.
All right. All right, we'll get back at it, Bruce. You got the game grades tonight, so I'll let you have it.
Yeah, I have that pleasure, David.
Thanks for talking tonight, Bruce.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.